no matter their wealth, their social status, or anything else. No one is above the law, and that's what this case demonstrates.
First, though, we are following breaking news. Former reality TV star Josh Duggar has been sentenced to more than 12 years in prison on child pornography charges. Thanks for joining us for your 5 News at 5. I'm Darren Bobb.
And I'm Erica Thomas. Josh Duggar sentenced to more than 12 years in prison after being convicted of receiving child porn.
Yeah, we'll have team coverage starting with 5 News reporter Micah Wilson at the federal courthouse in Fayetteville. Micah, Duggar could end up in one of 2 prisons.
Yeah, Darren and Erica, both of those are federal prisons. Now, one is in Seagoville, Texas, which has a sex offender treatment program, which is recommended for Duggar. Now, the other one is in Texarkana. But despite which prison he goes to, he will have to pay fines up to $50,000. Now, once he is released from federal prison, he will spend the next 20 years on supervised release with several conditions. Now, some of those include registering as a sex offender. The judge based his decision off 3 categories, which is content, community, and conduct. Now, in the content category, the judge mentioned how Duggar had less than 600 images, which he says is significantly lower than the average of more than 4,000. However, the judge says the type of images Duggar had are some of the worst he has seen, saying that he cannot get some of the images out of his head. And as far as conduct, the judge mentioned how Duggar went to extreme lengths to make sure that his activity was undetectable. He also looked at Duggar's past of physical abuse with children as young as age 5. And with community, the judge looked at whether the images were shared, which the judge says Duggar showed those images on the dark web with peers. The judge also took into account public safety and compared similar sentences with offense levels of 39 like Duggar's. Now, the average in the nation for those offense levels is 192 months, so Duggar got a bit less with that 12 years. Now, before reading off Duggar's sentencing of more than 12 years in federal prison, the judge did say, quote, "The punishment is sufficient but not greater than necessary." For now, we're live here outside of the federal courthouse in Fayetteville, covering news where you live. Michael Wilson, 5 News.
All right, Micah, thanks. 5 News reporter Catherine Gilker now talked with the prosecution moments after the judge sentenced Duggar. Catherine, what did they have to say?
The prosecution asked the judge for the maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, and even though they didn't get the sentence they were hoping for, they say they are still very pleased with the outcome. The U.S. Attorney for the Western District, David Folkos, says this case shows no matter someone's wealth or social status that no one is above the law, and his office will continue to investigate these cases no matter who the defendant is. He says his office redoubled their efforts in doing everything they can to protect children. He says this trial and sentencing is for all victims of child abuse, and this case shows that these children are subject to some of the worst kinds of abuse imaginable. He says this case also shows that those children's pain and suffering is real.
We know that this sentence isn't going to take away the suffering and the pain that they've already felt from this abuse, but it is our hope that this sentence sheds light on this very dark criminal conduct, because every single time these files are traded, shared, and downloaded online, those same children are victimized all over again.
Before the sentencing, the judge said a victim impact statement written by the mother of one of the victims was chilling. I'm live in Fayetteville, covering news where you live. Catherine Gilker, 5 News.
All right, Catherine, thanks. As you see here, some of Josh Duggar's family members spent the day in court, and we were there as they left the building. 5 News reporter Jose Carranza trying to gauge their reaction as they left the courthouse. He's live with that. Jose?
Yeah, it's a story that's gathered a lot of attention, with people outside the courthouse gathering today from both local and national news outlets, all for the story of Josh Duggar. Around 50 people gathered today in the courtroom, including family and friends of Josh. As people exited the building, we saw wife Anna Duggar head towards her car. As she entered her car, it was an emotional scene, seeing her cry as she entered her vehicle. We also saw Father Jim Bob Duggar exit the building, leaving nothing to say. Excuse me, do you have any comments for today, sir? anything about today's outcomes? You guys didn't get the 5 years you wanted. How are you guys reacting to that? Apologies.
Anything you want to say, sir?
And the defense representing Josh Duggar said that they look forward to litigating the one count of receiving child pornography. They say within the next 14 days they will be filing the notice to appeal. For now, covering news where you live in Fayetteville, Jose Carranza, 5 News.
All right, Jose, thanks. To see the full coverage from the trial and today's sentencing, you can find everything on 5newsonline.com and the free 5 News smartphone app, available for both your Apple and Android devices.
All right, let's take